When I fly Emirates and I see our wine, Chateau Palmer wines on board, I'm obviously very, very proud of it.
When I fly Emirates and when I see people on board enjoying our champagne, it makes me proud.
For me, it's a pleasure to see Hennessy because in Emirates you are really relaxed.
The experience of Emirates is quite special because this is probably the unique part of the world where the time stops, the phone is switched off and you just have time to enjoy a nice meal and a nice wine as well.
With Emirates it's different. I mean, everything is perfect. Like a dream, you, for the first time, have the opportunity to enjoy Dom Pérignon with the perfect experience.
Being on Emirates, it's a real pleasure because we know that this wine will be appreciated by connoisseurs of wine.
When I fly Emirates, I'm always very happy to see how the wines are served, and they are served in perfect conditions.
So we are very proud of being served on the best tables around the world, and now we can say on the best tables in the air.
I love the service in Emirates. I am very happy to see how they came in the middle of the sky.
From economy through to first class, Emirates are renowned for the range and quality of their onboard wine selection. The team at Emirates share a genuine passion for wine, keeping close relationships with their suppliers and holding regular tastings in which they select those wines which will eventually be served on board. A member of the panel and currently holding the post of Senior Beverage Advisor at Emirates is Stephen Towler, a sommelier by trade, responsible for cabin crew wine training and communication on all things beverage.
Emirates flies wines from 12 different countries. And if you're flying to a wine region, you may well find a wine from your destination on board. We get great feedback about many of the wines that we list, but 3 regions that are particularly popular with our customers are Champagne, Burgundy and Bordeaux.
So we've come to France to meet the people making some of the incredible French wines and spirits served by Emirates, and maybe learn a thing or two along the way.
France has over 360 appellations or named places producing wine, some of which have been drawn up by Benedictine and Cistercian monks in the Middle Ages.
These demarcated tracts of land were known as climats, a term still in use today, stemming from the Greek word for a site's aspect or incline and exposure to the sun, its klima. Some of the sites with a more beneficial exposure are referred to as cru, coming from the word croître, or to grow, a term that can apply to specific vineyards such as in Burgundy, or whole villages as in Champagne.
The aspect of a vineyard is one of the major factors in how a wine smells and tastes. This, along with the grape variety, climate and soil type, are just some of the natural factors influencing wine and contribute to its terroir, or expression of place.
The viticulture, or the work in the vineyard, is the human element, as is the process of turning grape juice into wine, the vinification. For thousands of years, French winemakers, or vignerons, have been trying to fully understand the fermentation process and exactly what makes wine taste the way it does. But perhaps no other region has managed to communicate the concept of terroir as successfully as our first stop, Chablis.
The region of Chablis is located in the north of France, approximately 60 kilometres from the most southerly vines of the Champagne region. The climate can be described as cool continental, with production focusing exclusively on white wines from the Chardonnay grape.
There is no better place to illustrate the importance of the aspect of a vineyard than on this hill overlooking the Burgundian village of Chablis.
As in the rest of Burgundy, the climats of Chablis are classed according to quality. The cooler, outlying, north-facing sites which produce the simplest wine are labelled with the lowlier appellation of Petit Chablis. Those with the slightly more favourable sun exposure and the vineyards on flatter land attain the village appellation of Chablis. Within the Chablis appellation lie the Chablis Premier Crus, which have a superior south-facing aspect. One particularly sun-exposed Premier Cru has a name that reflects the warmth that it receives on its sun-kissed slope and is called fourneau, the French for oven. Others often contain references in Old French to nearby woods or streams, or are named after former landowners. The 7 best vineyards of the region have their own appellation, Chablis Grand Cru, and are located on this 2-kilometre-long, southwest-facing steep hillside. Sheltered from the cold north winds, they soak up the warm afternoon rays from the sun. The furthest south, Blanchot, exceptionally has a southeast-facing slope and was one of the first batch of 5 Grand Cru designated in 1919, along with Les Clos, Valmure, Grenouille and Vaudezire, heading northwards from Blanchot. The 2 most northern vineyards, Les Preux and Bougros, were late arrivals to the appellation in 1938 and complete a gentle arc of vines hugging a bend in the Serein River as it ebbs and flows past the village of Chablis. The majority of the vineyards, particularly those on Premier and Grand Cru sites, lie on marl, a clay and silt-laden, chalky soil. This specific marl was created 150 million years ago in a geological age named after an English town sharing similar soils, Kimmeridge. The Kimmeridge marl here in Chablis is packed with mineral-rich oyster fossils, as this low-lying area was once submerged beneath a shallow sea. Many tasters perceive the saline taste of minerals and a chalkiness in the wines of Chablis, but where those flavours come from is a matter of fierce debate. I'm here at the Obédiencerie, a former monastery which dates from 867 Common Era, before Alfred the Great became King of Wessex and the birth year of Richard d'Autun, the first Duke of Burgundy. It was here where Saint Martin de Tours first developed winemaking in the region in the Middle Ages, and it currently serves as headquarters of Domaine Laroche, one of the foremost producers in the area.
I was born in Burgundy. I learned enology in Burgundy, and then my first winemaking experiences were in Burgundy. That means the Chardonnay and Burgundy are like in my blood. Here in Chablis, we have definitely a very specific conditions with huge variations between the nights and the days, and we have specific soils. The name of this specific source is the Kimmeridgian, which gave to the Chardonnay very specific conditions to have the perfect balance. In Chablis, we try and we extract all the good minerals and all the natural antioxidants from the skins. That means the Chardonnay could have the perfect ripeness when we pick it for the harvest. We have the good balance. Inside we keep all the natural freshness, and we have all the natural environment to have the best conditions. The natural acidity is one of the most important things in the Chablis wine, and this natural acidity comes from the global environment, from the good variations between the nights and the days, but also from the limestone. At Domaine Laroche, we own 90 hectares, including 60 hectares of Chablis, 22 hectares of Premier Cru, with 12 different Premier Cru, and 6 hectares of Grand Cru. 6 hectares of Grand Cru represent 6% of the total appellation, because there is only 100 hectares of Grand Cru in Chablis. So Les Vaudevets is Domaine Laroche's emblematic Premier Cru. Indeed, we own 1/3 of the total vineyard. We are very proud to have Vaudevets 15 on board on Emirates. Vaudevets is a very unique and singular vineyard. Domaine Laroche owns 1/3 of the total appellation. But what is very specific and unique is the terroir of Les Vaudevets. It's east exposure, and it's a very steep slope, more than 50%. You can find the white marl from the Kimmeridgian with a very little limestone pebble on surface. Vaudevets, it's always a very pure wine, very chalky, with huge concentrations of minerals. Vaudevets is always a perfect blend to pair it with fresh fish or sashimi or very fresh food. When we are on board, our perceptions are completely different. It's why, with Emirates, we decided to create a unique wine. It's a specific and unique blend which is done with the best Premier Cru. So Emirates team selected 3 different blends. After a final testing on board, they select only one. they created the perfect blend to be tasted on board, and with many different concentrations of Montée Tonnerre, Montmilieu and Fourchaux. You can be sure that you are going to have a unique experience with this Premier Cru. It's an exclusive Premier Cru, and it's the first time for Domaine Laroche that we did such wines.
The Essence des Climats Chablis Premier Cru from Domaine Laroche has been especially blended to provide optimal onboard enjoyment. It will be available for a limited period on European routes, exclusively in Emirates First and Business Class. Over the years, Emirates has invested time and resources to build relationships with producers, not just in Chablis, but throughout Burgundy. After a number of vintages with reduced harvest throughout the region, these valuable partnerships have been paying dividends by ensuring that Emirates aircraft can continue to feature these coveted wines on board.
For our next destination, however, we switch from still wines to bubbles, so please check in with Emirates Wine Channel for our journey through the wine region of Champagne.